Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is the 58 Keys Script Club. It's a book club, but it's about scripts. Yeah. You could, as ever, listen to me enthuse, and I'd really like you to this time, but you could instead just pop off and read the scripts. Links in the description. But there's so much to say this time, so much. And it's all about Before Sunset. But if you know the Before films at all, you tend to know them well, or at least well enough that you don't need me recounting the plot at length. I mean, if you ever do, really. Let me, though, do this. Let me tell you some specific things, a few sets of things about the films that I think you need to have in mind, so that, I was going to say, so that my enthusing made sense. Let's not get carried away. So my enthusing has context. Let's go with that. Anyway, so right, there are these three films, yeah, which started in 1995 with Before Sunrise. Then in 2004, there was Before Sunset, the one I particularly want to talk to you about today. And then in 2013, there was Before Midnight. It is not humanly possible to watch the three and not want a fourth, but it doesn't look like there's going to be one. Anyway, what we do have, I've got a trilogy, haven't we? Got a trilogy about Celine and Jesse. In the first film, Before Sunrise, Celine and Jesse meet on a train and spend a night walking around Vienna. That's it. There's no other way to say this, really, but bugger all happens in Before Sunrise, and yet everything happens. I just adore it. Given that at the time, this film, written by Kim Krzan and Richard Linklater, who also directed it, was a one-off, its ending's a killer. And this really is a point for you to tell me to take a hike while you go watch Before Sunrise and or read the script. I mean, the pause button is probably about there, isn't it? So, okay, you didn't press it. This is on you. Before Sunrise ends with Celine and Jesse vowing to meet again in 6 months' time. For 9 years. That was the question. Did they? Didn't they? Richard Linklater said once in an interview that for those 9 years, right, everyone would ask the question, and yet nobody seemed to want a sequel. Fortunately, we got one. And after those 9 years, we find out the answer in Before Sunset. And then just to quickly wrap up the sequence here, 9 more years later, we got the third film, Before Midnight. Now, the first film is special, okay? I mean, they all are. But I want to talk to you about the second one because of 3 really specific writing points. And the first is that I vow to you, Before Sunset has the single best recap of an earlier film. I mean, in my opinion, it's untouched. I think it's untouchable for how superbly well done, how superbly well written it's previously on Before. Surely that should be Before on Before. Anyway, Celine and Jesse, okay, did not meet 6 months later. They didn't. And they didn't have each other's phone numbers or any details at all. So to get us back into the story, I mean, actually, really, for there to be a story for us to get back into in the first place, writers Richard Linklater, Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke have it that Jesse wrote a book about that night. I should say, just for clarity, Delpy and Hawke also play Celine and Jesse. As Before Sunset starts, Jesse is at the very end of a book tour, promoting his, it sounds like a semi-fictionalized account of that one night. We're at the very last stop on the tour. He's speaking at Shakespeare and Company, the sublime, I don't know what's so special about it, but it is a sublime English language book in Paris. And then he's zooming through the story of the book and answering an audience's questions about what happened and whether it was all real and what was made up and all this, and really telling us everything we need to know. This talk is straight exposition. I mean, absolutely, no question. It is plot recounting. It near as, damn it, the briefing a PR person might put for a journalist as a summary of the first film. And yet, it works completely. The situation enables it. He's written a book, people are asking him about it, and every beat is both total exposition, yes, but also totally natural, totally unforced, it seems, totally uncontrived, it seems. Plus, visually, his answers are illustrated by wordless clips from the first film, just flashes of them, like little touches, like he can't help the real memories coming back as he's answering the questions, as he's recounting what happened. And then, in the bookshop, listening to Jessie talk, there she is. Celine is there. It is magical. Actually, it's choking me up thinking about it. And yet we knew she'd be there. I mean, what would the film be without her? But it so works. I think that it happens when we first see it on a kind of off beat. We don't quite expect her at that precise moment. I think actually we expect from the rhythm and the pacing that we've seen so far that we're about to see another clip from the first film. So that would be as much actually film editing as it is script writing, although I think film editing is writing. I mean, it's not an unusual thought, but film editing is where the last drift is written. That's said, and I do believe it. Anyway, the rhythm and the pacing, we're surprised. Jessie is surprised. And, you know, you've got to give actors credit. Looking at them, you can feel the pressure on their chests. His when he sees her, hers when she's decided to step out of the shadows and be seen. The intensity of feeling on both sides. I mean, for a film that is famously just two people talking for an hour and a half, this moment when they are not talking, or at least not talking to each other, is, I mean it, magical. So, the first of three writing things. Do a recap previously that is exquisitely natural, and then, you know, throw in a touch of magic. Okay, there you go. Do that. Second thing, like I said, Jesse's at the end of his European book tour. Okay, I mean, he's really at the end. He is supposed to go straight from Shakespeare and Co. in this last talk to the airport and fly back to the US. And there are 10, I counted these, 10 specific mentions in dialogue of how he must not miss that plane. 10 in the first 13 pages of the script. I mean, talk about bludgeoning a point. And yet again, every single one is entirely natural. It's exactly what someone would say or would do or would worry about or would be in the process of arranging. You completely accept that, right, this is going on, there is limited time for Celine and Jessie to talk. You totally accept it, and that does put a clock under everything. These two, they have 9 years to catch up on and very little time to see if they each remember the other at all. And if they do, to see if the other still feels as they do. Actually, I think really even to test for themselves how they each feel. To test how real this might be. It adds an undertow of tension. The need for him to go at a certain time, I mean, it means even, you know, the quite relaxed moments feel a little stolen, like they shouldn't be this calm. And when the characters are not worrying about the time, I think we still are. It's not like this is a new device, and it's not remotely a new idea to have a time pressure on characters, but to me, this was new, and this is the bit about it that I relish. All the way through the whole film, there is this concern that Jesse will miss his flight, and he does. There's no last-minute successful run to the airport. There's no handy cop-out extension to the time. He doesn't get on the flight. I love a good twist on a familiar idea, as long as it isn't only a twist for the sake of being a twist, and this so isn't. I think this is so richly clever. All this time, right, we've been building to his need to get to the airport, right, but then in the last exchange, the last touch of the film, we realise that really what we've been building to is him choosing not to go. He's staying with Celine, he's reunited with her, and even though we've learned that Jessie is married, has a child, that Celine has a boyfriend, you want these two to be together. In the final moments, right, Celine just says reasonably matter-of-factly that, you're going to miss the flight, and Jessie just says, I know. I don't want to go so far as to say that that moment is as magical, strange word, but I mean it, as magical a moment as the reveal of Celine in the bookshop. But, oh, it's so close. 2 lines of dialogue, and you feel it. 2 lives change. Last one, just quite quick compared to those, and actually related. Before Sunset is shot in real time, or as if real time. The 3 films are all people talking, chiefly Celine and Jessie, but the first one, well, it takes place over a whole night. Do you know, I'm not sure now how long in story terms the third one takes, but it's at least a day and an evening, because it gets towards midnight. Before Sunset is unlike that. Before Sunset is an 80-minute film that tells a story of 80 minutes in the lives of these characters. And what an 80 minutes. Now, if you read between the lines here, I've said a lot that you could reasonably, possibly describe as me being a bit positive about Before Sunset. But when I reread the script, and actually the other day, and I rewatched the film as well, there is a sequence in a taxi that I'm not as sure about. It's crucial. I think really it's the scene where Celine and Jesse tell each other that they are available. Like I say, we and they have learned that he's married, has a kid, and she has a boyfriend. So I see that the scene is necessary. But it involves both of them spilling out a lot about bad things that have been going on in their lives. I mean, this must happen. They need it. We need it. And there is this ticking clock that means maybe there's not enough time to be exactly subtle about these things. But just for once, I'm really not sure. I mean, 2 months, it feels a little overloaded to me. It feels like we don't quite get to where we need to be for that to work. Maybe I'm saying that bit's too dramatic. Julie Delpy said once in an interview somewhere about all the 3 films, I think it was, that it's incredibly hard to write and to perform dialogue that is meant to sound completely natural and unforced, and yet isn't also so naturalistic and realistic that it's boring. Everywhere else Before Sunset, they nail this. This one sequence in a taxi, I'm simply not so sure. It is also funny, though, as during Celine's long spilling out of all her stuff, Jesse does get the line, "Can I talk?" And then he's pretty much ignored for a moment. Entertaining. Anyway, I am sure of this, though. The script to Before Sunset is 88 pages long, and it consists primarily of 2 people talking to each other. That's it. Before Sunset is not the Fast and the Furious. I mean, none of the Before films are, and yet all 3, I think, are mesmerising. I was just in Paris, and I walked down one of the streets that Celine and Jesse do in Before Sunset, and I was actually excited. Yeah. Got back to the hotel, started the film on my iPad, skipped forward to where that bit was, and then I was just watching that bit just to see the street, how it was all those years ago. And yeah, hooked again by the dialogue, hooked all over again by that conversation. Fantastic. I do get that the Before movies are not to everyone's taste, except actually, no, I don't. Why aren't they universal top 1 favourites for everyone? Can't fathom it out. That strange thing, by the way, this is another topic. Audiences seem to yearn, right, for actors who've made things up. I don't know why, but just for once, watch any of the Before films, and I think you'll even wonder whether there was a script or not. There is, but the conversation and every moment, it's so natural, it's so real. You do wonder. And if you're wondering now where to read all of this stuff, well, it is possible to find Before Sunset online, but go and buy the book instead. Normally, I see published script books as being, well, this great thing, but that I would toss aside in a heartbeat if I could get the PDF screenplay as written by the writers and as handed to the cast and crew. Because books, they reformat the text to get more on the page, they may edit bits out, and all sorts of things can go on there. They can change dialogue actually to match the final version, and yeah, I'm not sicking, but in this case, it just is a nice book. And as a bonus, it includes the script to the first film, Before Sunrise, too. If there was a book version of Before Midnight, I would be buying it. There's a link to the book for the first 2 films in the description. So, like I say, there isn't a published book version of the last script, the Before Midnight one, but you can get that online, and I'll pop the link to it in the description. I love all 3, but Before Sunset, that's the best. Thank you very much for watching this. Now go watch them all and read all the scripts and take care of yourself. And, well, you are a writer, so write more. Yeah, write more, but don't forget to include moments that are magical. Yeah, important. You've been leaving that out for a bit. And I'll see you soon.